Hi, I'm Lisa, and I've been a professional astrologer since the mid-1980s. Now, I don't remember the exact year when I started charging for astrology readings because it just sort of evolved. I'd always been interested in astrology, even as a little kid, but it wasn't until I was 19 in 1980, so I'm 61 now, that I was opened up to the breadth and depth of astrology. I was fascinated. I was so curious as to how this person could tell me all of this amazing information about myself. And I went back to her not only because I wanted to learn more about who I am and understand myself even more, but I wanted to know how she did it. I wanted to know how she could look at this piece of paper with all these symbols and derive this amazing information from it. So as I was learning, I started asking everyone I knew if they knew their birth time. I told them I was into astrology and asked if I could talk with them about their chart. And pretty much most people said yes. And after I exhausted people that I knew, I started sort of casually asking people that I didn't really know, people that I just sort of met in the library or somewhere. And I just was hungry for opportunities to learn more and to practice, because the thing about astrology is it's like a language. And I always say astrology is a language you can learn. That you start off with basics of like vocabulary and grammar, but you have to speak it. You have to use it in order to really learn it. And so the more I talked with people about their charts, the more they shared information about themselves so that I could then look at a chart and see where that was, the more that I learned. So I just took any opportunity that I could. And then eventually, people consistently kept giving me great feedback and they wanted to pay me. And so I switched over somewhere around, I want to say 1986, but I don't remember exactly. I switched over to actually charging for readings. And so much of what I know about astrology came from the master astrologer that I studied with and all the readings that I've done over the years. Now, I've also read hundreds of books. I traveled to go to workshops. I studied with other people. But that core foundation of the system of astrology that my mentor taught me, and then the decades of reading charts myself, are really the core of who I am as an astrologer. And I love this whole, master-apprentice relationship. She studied with a master astrologer, so I think of them as like my Yoda, my Obi-Wan. I'm the Padawan learner in this scenario. And having the astrology that I use be part of a system that has been taught and handed down is very precious to me. And it's a big part of the motivation for why I'm writing this book. And so I feel like writing this book is really my way of continuing this sort of lineage of astrology, of mastering astrology. And to be honest, when I look at my own chart, it really does say that I need to write this book. So I'm doing it in large part for myself, but I also offer it as an alternative to a lot of the sort of inexperience and frankly what I call sort of junk astrology that's floating around on the internet. I think my experience both in teaching astrology and even my science background, I have a lot of experience in taking knowledge and having to practically apply it. And that's what this book does. It takes the system of astrology that I've learned and used for decades and helps the reader learn how to take in the information, synthesize it, and then begin to understand their own chart. I hope you'll join me on this journey with my book.